Hey, Amy,
Yeah, Juan.
give me that beat.
It's Baseball Shangri-La with Amy Cuevas and Juan Ramirez.
What's up, party people? She is Amy Cuevas. I am Juan Ramirez. You are listening or watching Baseball Shangri-La. If you are listening on the audio portion, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Rate us, write us a review, spread the word about the show. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you. And make sure you're following us on social media on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. Amy, ¿cómo estás? How was your weekend?
It was excellent. There was a lot of baseball. How was your weekend?
It was fantastic. So we do have a lot of baseball to cover because when we last left you, it was Chicken Little time. The world was ending. Everything. The Dodgers had lost 6 of 9 on their homestand, and they were heading on the road, and things were just not looking very good for the Doyers. And
I
then
had to stock up on a lot of chocolate for y'all just to calm you down.
exactly. And then what happened is what Amy would always like to refer to as baseball happened. So, how the cookie crumbles, or whatever you want to say, all of a sudden, the Dodgers go on the road. This is a 9-game road trip. And so far, they have played 6 games. And the Dodgers are 5-1. So they've won 5 out of 6. So they went from losing 6 out of 9 to 5 out of 6. Amy, what is going on with this team?
They're playing baseball. I mean, they're gelling better. I think this is something that all teams go through. I don't know about you. This is partially why I don't like to do group projects, because I know I can count on myself when I go out there and I can do things and get it done. When you work in a group, somebody might have an off day, somebody might not contribute, and now you're subject to that. And that same thing is going to translate to teams. Luckily, in these teams, everybody's working towards the common goal. It's not like a group project, but people are going to have their off days. And you know what? When they fire on all cylinders, the result that we just saw, that's what we get.
So let's start with the National Series. So the Dodgers go in and sweep the Nacionales after losing 2 out of 3 to the Nacionales just the week before in Los Angeles. And for me, I mean, look, when you score 11 runs in one game, everything is going to look better. And I knew this, Amy. After that Wednesday game, when they scored 11 runs, I knew the next day on Thursday that they weren't going to score any, because that's just how baseball works, right? How many times have you heard the expression, "Hey man, save some runs from tomorrow," right? And I just knew that was going to happen, but
It was a close
they
game, but we still won. So there's that.
what was interesting with Dave Roberts' comments when they asked him about the team, and it said that Dave Roberts said that they were playing with a different edge, and that there is a sense of urgency. And I know that we had this conversation on this show a couple of episodes ago. Was the team playing with urgency? I mean, I don't know, Amy. Did you think they were playing any different than how they were playing during that homestand? Or is it just that sometimes, as you like to say, it's baseball? Like sometimes you're just not lucky, and other times that everything works out for you.
I mean, and this is not directed at you, but are you going to say, the general you, that even when Freddie Freeman's not hitting and he's working on everything just to get back to like 100%, that man's not giving his all, that Mookie's not giving his all, or even Shohei, like any of the guys on that roster? Even if they're not winning, I don't think anybody's like, I'm going to give it 65% today. Like, we'll just see what happens. Like, I think these guys are constantly giving it their all. They show up, and some days it just gels and comes together, and other days stuff happens. Maybe pitching isn't there, the defense isn't there, or the offense just can't connect with the ball. It's not for lack of preparation. It just, that job it's a really hard job to do. What is it? Baseball is a game of failures. That's why we love this game, because on any given day, any team can win. So I think they've been playing the same per se individually, but I think collectively as a team, it's just starting to come together better.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we last left you, the Dodgers were struggling, still being in first place. But I mean, I believe the last time we had an episode, they were either a half game up on the show pods or a game and a half. But as we are recording the show on Monday, right before the start of the final series of this road trip that the Dodgers are on, they open up a 3-game set against the Serpientes in Arizona. The Dodgers are in first place. They're 18-12, and guess what? Now they have a 3.5 game lead, but it's over the Gigantes,
Dun dun dun.
not the show pods anymore. So they were able to pad their lead during this stretch. And if you look at the show pods and you look at the Gigantes, and even if you look at the Serpientes, who I feel those are the 3 teams that are going to beat themselves up for second place, they're all under 500.
Poor Colorado.
Yeah. The Colorado Rockies were already eliminated a while back, and
They're 7-21, and they're 10 games back right now. Bless their hearts.
and then just a couple of weeks ago, like the stadium was covered in snow, so it's like they had a snow plow out there just to clear the field so they could play. And I was like, can you imagine you're 7-21 and you got to go play in that? But I think this is a time, especially when you play your division rivals, you gotta beat up on them, and you gotta help them. You gotta put distance between you and them. So, look, they swept the Gigantes. They haven't seen the Rockies yet, but they swept the Gigantes.
Yamamoto almost died.
They're 2-3 against. Yes, he almost died. They're 2-3 against the show pods. And so this is the first time they're going to see the Serpientes. And so the Serpientes are not playing well. So hopefully you take advantage of them. We saw what the Serpientes did to the Dodgers at the beginning of last year. They go ahead. They need to take advantage of these teams. But I want to start off with the good in this stretch. And there's a lot of good, because when you win 5 out of 6 games, a lot of things are going right. And I want to start off with the offense, because this was a guy who I don't want to say we were worried, but when we last left you, he was going through a stretch. He was over his last 12, and everybody was asking the question, what's wrong with Federico? So the numbers I'm going to give you actually go back to the last 2 games of the homestand against the Metropolitans. But Freddie Freeman is going through a stretch right now. He raised his batting average, Amy. I mean, this is insane. All right. He was hitting 274 going into that Saturday game against the Metropolitans. As of the end of the last game against the Azulejos of Toronto, he went from hitting 274 from that stretch to now hitting 306. In these last 8 games, he is 12 for 27. He is hitting 444. Federico, Amy, is he back?
I think so. I think he fixed whatever was tweaked. It sounds like he's been working on it. That was one of the things, I think the last weekend I was there for the Mets series. Like, normally Freddie doesn't take batting practice before the game, and I think at least Sunday I saw him out there swinging the bat. So he's doing whatever it takes to get back to his 100%, and good for him. It looks like the numbers are showing that. So good for him.
Yeah, so Federico's at a 444 clip, and he hit a home run in the Toronto series. So it's one of those things where it's like, look, that guy is slow and steady. We refer to him as a machine. He went through a little bit of a lull, but hopefully it looks like he's snapping out of it. And we're talking about going 12 for 27, hitting 444. Here's what's even crazier, Amy. You know who's hitting better than that? Mookie Betts. I mean, the last episode that we had, Amy, you and I were talking about, Mookie Betts got out to this hot start, and now here comes Ohtani, and Ohtani almost has the same numbers as Mookie Betts. Well, Mookie Betts is going crazy right now during this road trip. Mookie Betts, through these first 6 games, is hitting 500. He raised his batting average in this 6-game stretch from 355 to 387. I mean, the numbers that Mookie is putting up is just it feels like you're playing a video game. What are you seeing from Mookie, Amy?
I mean, the guy is just like, you call Freddie a machine. Mookie is a machine. Like he has been out there tearing it up since day one. Like he's out there hitting, he's out there fielding, playing multiple positions. As we saw, I think he's getting like half the time he's playing second base, half the time he's playing shortstop, because it looks like it is being platooned a little bit amongst a couple of people. But you're not seeing like a regression from him in any aspect. So I mean, I think he's doing great. He's right up there with steady Will Smith. Like he's got a 367 batting average. Like these guys in the top 4 spots are when they're on, they're doing excellent.
It's insane because I know you may seem like a broken record, Amy, because I know you give all your Care Bear stares to Will Smith, but the season that Will Smith is having so far, and I'm very curious to see how this progresses, because I think there's been a trend, at least the last 2 years with Will Smith, where the second half there's been a little bit of a drop off, and I think a lot of times we chalk it up to the fact that he's a catcher and maybe they need to give him more rest so he doesn't get so tired in the second half of the season.
We
And
used to
he
have
does.
the same issue with Yasmani Grandal. He would be stellar throughout the season, and then as we crept towards the playoffs, he would slow down. And people would be like, "Ah, he sucks in the postseason," and it's like, I think he's tired, guys. Like if you're not having an equal representation of that time at catcher, like that's being a backstop. That's a big job. Like you're effectively calling the game, but you're also on your knees the whole time. Like it's a lot of work physically and mentally, not taking away from any other position on the field because everybody else has to prepare too. But if you're getting the bulk of that playing time, you're going to slow down at some point. And I feel like that's what happens to our catchers, because we have a backup catcher and then we have the catcher that gets the playing time the majority of the time.
Yeah, and it shows that he's gotten some rest on this road trip, because he doesn't have the same number of at bats as Federico, as Mookie, as Otani. But on this road trip so far, Will Smith is hitting 450. He's 9 for 20. And what's crazy is he seems to get hits in bunches. Correct me if I'm wrong, Amy, but he, I think, by my count, at least has 3 4-hit games this season. Do you know how many 4-hit games he has this season?
I think he has at least 3, but Sarah Langs actually posted a stat, because with he didn't play in consecutive games because he had a day off, but the consecutive games that he played, he's the second Dodgers catcher with consecutive 4-hit games since 1901. So him and Roy Campanella in 1951 are the only ones since, I think her stat said, Johnny Kling, who had 3 straight 4-hit games in 1902. But I believe he's at either 3 or 4 now. So he's done it a couple of times.
Good old Kling. And to piggyback on what Sarah Lang said, did you see that tweet also that I think has the most 4-hit games in countries? Because this year alone, he had a 4-hit game in Korea. He had a 4-hit game in the United States. And now that he was in Canada, he had another 4-hit game.
Look,
so that's why
international. Look at him.
And that's courtesy of Sarah Langs. So let's give a shout out to Sarah Langs for that little tidbit there. But yeah, I think this is a guy with all the attention that Mookie gets, that Shohei, that Federico gets, the season that Will Smith that he is off to right now. And every time I see this on Twitter, I always want to sit there and go, you guys are telling on yourselves. You're telling on yourselves that you guys don't watch the games. But I have people who supposedly know baseball and follow baseball say, hey, man, when was the last time the Dodgers catcher ever threw out a runner? Guys, I feel like Will Smith is throwing out a lot more runners this year than he has in the past, right, Amy?
He did 2 in 1 game. He's one of my favorites, so I'm going to back him no matter what. But I think it was in one of these games, he threw out 2 of them within the same game. And I mean, they got us too. It might've been the Toronto series. I'd have to double check, but I mean, he's doing great numbers. To kind of backtrack to something you said about Mookie, because we were on the Sarah Langs tip, but she also posted about Mookie. So in line with what you were saying, Saturday was his 500th game with the Dodgers, so he has tallied 412 runs, 256 extra base hits, and 1,069 total bases. So that's the most in 500 games with the Dodgers since 1901. So it looks like we're going back to the last century, like the turn of the century, and these guys are popping stats like left and right. So good job, guys.
But he bowls, Amy. Could you imagine if he
Let
didn't
the
bowl?
man bowl. Let the man
Could you
bowl.
imagine if he didn't bowl, how good he would be?
I think the bowling is what gives him his edge. So there.
But I do want to give you credit because you have consistently given Will Smith his flores on this show since the beginning of the season. But like I said, maybe this guy needs to get more attention. I know that there's people that would put the Orioles catcher ahead of him in terms of best catchers in Major League Baseball, and he just signed that long contract for 10 years. And a lot of people feel like he's getting underpaid. I mean, the numbers that he is putting up, I mean, Will Smith is somebody, he's your cleanup hitter. And I feel he's the one I think that is benefiting probably the most from having Shohei in the lineup because he is just getting a lot of opportunities. He's getting a lot of good pitches and he's coming through with him. So I'm very impressed with Will Smith's start to the season.
I like him in this spot hitting fourth. And I think he continues to get better. And I think having that contract behind him now just bolsters, like, if you could be a Dodger for the next decade, like how much more does that boost your confidence when you're playing on the team? Like giving even just that security, whether people are arguing he got less than he deserved or not. I mean, it was still a pretty good contract. So even still, if he's happy with that and that gives him the security that he needs to even play better, good for him. Because we're going to benefit from it on the field.
Yeah, Will Smith doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that's just going to go, spend his money in a ridiculous fashion and end up like MC Hammer. So that's probably one of those questions where it's like, how much money do I really need, to survive? But Will Smith is great. Another guy I want to talk about who seems to be having a pretty good road trip, and it's funny because I'm throwing out all these numbers to you in terms of how Federico and Mookie and Will Smith, like they're all hitting over 400 on this road trip. But this next guy, maybe the numbers aren't as, awe-inspiring, but I think it's a big deal, and that's Andy Pages. Andy Pages on this road trip is hitting 360. Okay, he's 9 for 25. He raised his batting average from 222 to 302. And I know this is still early for this kid. And I all my friends, all my Doyer friends, Amy, and you know how negative they are. They're all telling
you say they're negative, but they're just your group of friends.
One of these days I'm going to record these conversations so you can see how negative they are. But they're all telling me the same thing, Amy, and that is Andy Pages is here to stay. There's no way they can send him back down. They're already making plans that when Jason Hayward comes back, that Outman needs to be the one that gets sent down. Look, all I'm saying is this: pump the brakes a little bit, guys, because we saw this. The same guy that you want to send down, James Outman, we saw this with him last year. He got off to a good start, and then once there's enough tape on you and major league hitters know what pitches you can't hit, then you're going to start seeing a good. So
Which is what I think people forget is that the tape is out there, not just for our team to look at other teams, but it's out there for everyone. And there was actually something on Twitter a couple days ago about Jackson Holiday. He actually just got sent back down to the minors, and people were up in arms about this, but they were saying we moved him very fast. He came up, and something like this shows him the challenge that he's up against. But if we move them too fast, it's not doing them a service. So him going back down, now knowing what he needs to do, that's going to be a valuable lesson. And then the next time he comes back up, it's going to be even better. So I think that's something that we forget too. Like sometimes we do move these players up very quickly. Like even Emmett Sheehan, he jumped from AA straight to the majors. What damage are we potentially doing if they're not going through each of those steps that will also build their career along the way and give them the skill sets that we need? So I hope he does stay. If he can manage to make it work, great job. He's already got his second home run Wednesday, he was a triple short of the cycle. Like, well done, young man. But, I just hope he develops the way that he needs to and he gets the support that he needs.
Yeah, the Dodgers have been saying that they're going to give him a long runway, and that's what they ended up giving James Outman last year. James Outman last year got off to that great start, so it bought him time when he started slumping, that he was able to find his way out of it. So, look, if Bacchus doesn't get into a slump and he continues to play like what he's playing, hey, that's found money for the Dodgers. All right, that's a good problem to have. All I'm saying, guys, is this, especially to all my Doyer friends, it's just like, hey, take it easy. Take it easy, okay? I mean, May is just right around the corner. These are major league pitchers, okay? And everybody, I mean, Federico went 0 for 12. Like, even the greats go through stretches where they're in funks. So I just want to see more from Bacchus. Like, I'm rooting for the guy. I would love for him to continue to hit 300. I just don't know. We just don't know what kind of major leaguer he's going to be yet. That's all I'm saying. Is just
He doesn't
relax.
even know. He's figuring it out. I mean, I know we're transitioning over to the Toronto series. I do want to bring up highlight. Shohei Ohtani hit his 7th home run, which means he is tied neck and neck with Dave Roberts' home run record as the Dodgers' Japanese players who've hit home runs. So the next time he hits one, Dave Roberts' record is out the window.
But not only that,
it was a good run. It was a good run.
Not only that, but correct me if I'm wrong, Amy. He now leads the team in home runs, correct?
Probably. You know what? I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to double check. I don't know what Mookie's at right now.
Mookie's at 6.
Okay, and so is Teoscar.
So they were tied with the team lead. So with that home run, I mean, but keep me honest here, because with that home run that Shohei hit, I believe he is now leading the team. And the only reason why I bring it up is because loyal viewer of the show, Jose Ayala, had gone on the limb and predicted that Shohei would be leading the team in home runs. He was just a little too early on his prediction, Jose.
Good job, Jose. Right. Good job. We eventually got there. Yes, Mookie and Teoscar both have 6 at this point.
Before we get into the Toronto series, I do want to say this though. I want to give some a Care Bear stare, Taco Care Bear stare out to Landon Knack. Landon Knack made his 2nd start of the season. Both of his starts have been against the Nacionales. And I think, I on this show, if you guys watch this show, listen to this show loyally, I harp on my starter needs to give me 6 innings. I need 6 innings from my starter. The fact that Landon Knack was able to give the Doyers 6 innings in that start on Wednesday, especially after that 2nd inning when things could have gone left on him, I think is huge. I mean, this guy's ERA is a little over 3, and I know it's 2 starts and it's against the same team, but I was very impressed by the fact that he went 6 innings. And then another person because he almost died, was Yamamoto. Yamamoto went 6 innings, 6 shutout innings. And I know a lot of people are making this big thing. If you take out the Korea start, his ERA is 2. And it's like, well, we can't take out the Korea start, okay, guys, because that really happened. But I know, Amy, there was a period when Yamamoto's ERA was 45. And now what's his ERA?
3.54. And he had 7 strikeouts that day too. Like, again, great job. He got up to 97 pitches in that game. Almost died. He took that comebacker. Like, it was like watching something in the Matrix, because his glove just immediately flew up and he caught it right by his face. And great job, dude.
Exactly. And then one last thing that I want to say about this Nacionales series, and because he's pitching tonight, and that is James Paxton, I think probably, and I will include the bullpen game against the Azulejos on Sunday, but I think James Paxton gave the weakest performance in terms of pitching this week. It's just he makes too many pitches. His command is really off. And that's why I thought it was huge that Landon Knack gave them the 6 innings the following day. because the bullpen had to cover a lot of innings. And this is, again, a thing that I am concerned about with James Paxton is the number of pitches that he's throwing does not allow him to go deep into games. And also the fact that they have to give him an extra day. Now, I don't know if they have to give him an extra day.
And for reference, for anybody who wasn't following that game very closely, he went 4 2/3 innings and he threw 89 pitches. So, I mean, he kept it. There was only 1 run on him, but
But that's been the book on him this season. He's always pitching with traffic. Like he never has clean innings. And I wish I think it would make a big difference if he had clean innings. He might be going deeper into games. And again, I don't think it's a secret, Amy, that the pitching has been better on this road trip because the starters have been giving them more innings. So not only did Knack give you 6 innings, Yamamoto went 6, but like, let's get into the Azulejo series. Gavin Stone came up huge on Friday. Like, Gavin Stone looked fantastic, and he went 7 innings, only gave up 1 run. And I know the thing with Gavin Stone that we keep talking about is, consistency with this guy. There's been times where he's looked really good, and then there's been other times where he can't even get into the 4th inning. So a Care Bear stare to Landon Knack and to Gavin Stone on my part. I mean, Tyler Glass now, look, he's the ace of the team, but he was able to give you 6 innings. So you're getting a lot of innings from the starters, and
they're limiting runs too, because both Stone and Glasnow only gave up 1 run in the innings that they pitched.
And I feel like that makes a huge difference. What did you see in that Toronto series, Amy?
Oh my gosh. Between Ohtani with his 7th home run, Smith hitting his second, 4-hit game. Smith was also a triple shy of the cycle. Muncy had that 3-run homer. Like, it felt like their bats were coming alive. And it also felt like they were playing a little bit more small ball. Like, you'd see, I think it was Chris Taylor did a sack bunt. Like, these guys are focused more on moving each other over versus maybe let's not swing for the fences every single time. And Freeman got his 2nd home run. He was actually the only run scored in that game on Sunday. So that at least we didn't get shut out. So well done, Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, so the Doyers go up to Toronto. They win 2 out of 3. They win the series, and that's the important thing is you win series. You win series. The sweep was fantastic against the Nacionales. You come into Toronto, you took the first 2 games, and I know that a lot of people feel like when they see a bullpen game that the Dodgers are just like giving up and being like, oh well, this is going to be a loss. Look, they were very much in that game on Sunday.
They just couldn't string together hits. Like they like some of the ones like getting caught stealing, like, oh man, you doubled, bro. And then, you got thrown out at 3rd. I think that was Pajes. Like, they got on base, but they were also just flying out left and right, lining out. Like, there was a lot of they were making contact. It just happened to be right at people.
And I want to give the Azulejos credit too, because they played great defense on Sunday. There were a couple of plays that what's that guy, the center fielder's name for the Azulejos? Was it Varno? I'm totally
Varsho. Dalton Varsho.
Dalton Varsho. Thank you very much. Like, he had made a great play. Springer made a great play. A couple of balls go their way. Yeah, exactly. And the Doyers may end up being on a 6-game winning streak. So I do want to give the Azulejos credit there because they made the play. They executed. But look, we've had this conversation on this show, and I'm sure we're going to have this conversation later on in the season. This is not something. This is the age-old nemesis of the Doyers. It is their kryptonite, and that is hitting with runners in scoring position. I kept thinking about you when Chris Taylor made that bunt because a bunch of my buddies started sending me text messages saying small ball, and I'm just like, is this Amy Cuevas? I mean, they were so surprised that the Doyers actually did small ball. But look, on Sunday, Amy, they were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position. They left 7 on base, and it was that 8th inning. I think the 8th inning was their opportunity where they could have stole that game. but unfortunately, things did not work out. But another stat that I think is a little disturbing is not only their struggles with runners in scoring position, but this to the start this year, Amy. Do you know what they're doing with the bases loaded?
Oh gosh, no.
The Dodgers are 4 for 28 with the bases loaded. They're hitting 143. And I think what's even worse than that is more alarming is they have 13 Ks with the bases loaded. They are striking out almost half the time when they have the bases loaded. And that's where you come in with your small ball. That's where you come in with the idea of productive outs. If you put those balls in play, a sacrifice fly, a ground ball or something like that.
Or even just being patient at the plate. Like there was a couple times where Austin Barnes walked this weekend and it was like, good job, buddy. Like his batting average is up this year. But great job. He's improving upon
Did you
last
just
year.
little buddy Austin Barnes? Good job, buddy. Did
Good
you tap
job,
him on the top of the head?
Good job, little fella. No, but I mean, that deserves some congratulations because he got a lot of crap last year. And so the fact that he's hitting, I think, like somewhere in like the 250s. I don't have the number right in front of me, but like
I'll take that. I'll take that from him.
But also, okay, I know where my strengths are right now. I'm gonna walk. I'm going to be a little bit more patient at the plate. I think Chris Taylor, he's the one who did one of the sack bunts. Okay, great. If all you can do is swing for the fences right now while you're working on your swing, I need you either to bunt or I need you to walk. Because if you can't connect with the ball, these are the contributions you can make for the team. And to your point, you walk somebody in if the bases are loaded, or you do a sack bunt if you have enough, or if there's not a bunch of outs on there, and now you can bring somebody in.
Again, you should be managing this team.
No. It is way far. It is far harder than we make it sound.
I mean, it makes sense to me what you're telling me. And I know we talked about this on the last episode, and you said you weren't seeing this, but I saw it again, so I want to bring it up to your attention. Jack Harris tweeted this, so if you want to go back and look at Jack Harris's, the beat writer for the Doyers with the Los Angeles Times, but he started tweeting out Shohei Ohtani with runners in scoring position. Shohei Ohtani so far this year is 6 for 34 with runners in scoring position. He's hitting 176. Now, again, I know we had this conversation on this last show where it seems like people are picking at straws. Like the guy, I mean, he leads the team in home runs. He's hitting over 300. Like he's contributing to the team. Do we really need to know that information? Does it tell the tale, or am I out of line? Do I feel like I know you hate negativity? Does that seem like it's negativity for the sake of being negative?
I mean, he can tweet whatever he wants. He's entitled to that. But like, if you are the person who wants to just look at that tweet on its face and take that at, like, all right, cool, he sucks. But like, if you dive a little bit more into the data, like he's also got 18 RBIs. Like he may not be hitting well with bases loaded, but he still is bringing in runs. And so, I mean, in some of those games, I think he was the one who brought in quite a few of those. So to me, this is where it's that fine line, that gray area. Like this is baseball. Like people are going to have good days. People are going to have bad days. He's probably not hitting the way everybody wanted. But again, I went into this season with no expectations for him because he's coming off of surgery. So if everybody had these grand expectations, then yeah, I could see how this would lower them. But I didn't have any for him. I'm just like, hey, whatever he can produce at this point, good job.
And it was all my Angel friends, all my friends who are Angel fans started, sending, see, he doesn't hit in the clutch. Now you guys are seeing it firsthand. This is what he did with the Angels. Look,
okay,
if you look at Shohei,
but you've also got other players who aren't hitting at all. So, like, do you want him to hit when he does and like bring in runs when he can? Like, it doesn't lessen the fact that he is contributing, or even the other players are contributing however best that they can. So, like, yeah, okay, that's a weakness. You can work on it.
But I guarantee you, if I asked Jack Harris, like, why does that information need to be tweeted out? Like, that's stuff that I would expect from Bill Plunkett. Like, I would totally expect that from Bill Plunkett, right? But here's the thing, and that is, if you look at the back of Shohei Ohtani's baseball card, which is what you expect for all of these people. Like, what do these guys do? Because this is just April. I know May is coming around the corner, but yeah, this is way below what he normally, I believe, hits like 280 with runners in scoring position.
But
Let's revisit this back in September and see. I would be very surprised if he's still hitting this low with runners in scoring position. And
these
I
guys
wonder if
are
they will.
they're more than just stat lines though. Like they're more
Well,
than the back of their baseball card.
well, but I find it just interesting because we talked about this in the last episode where you weren't seeing any of this information, and yeah, maybe I just get all the negative tweets because I am the Prince of Darkness.
It's
But I'm
not
seeing this, and I'm just like, but they're winning games. Like they won 2 out of 3,
I don't
and
think that it's necessarily that I'm not seeing it. I think I mean I scroll past stuff on Twitter all the time. It's just okay, that's an interesting stat. One, I can't fix it. Two, I'm sure Otani's already well aware of it. And three, like he's gonna play what he's gonna play. It still doesn't change anything for me in how I watch the game. Like I guess if you wanted to, one of the ways you I mean you could take that and then let that bring down your game, but like I I have a hard time with this stuff because I'm like, all right, but is he still in there hitting? Okay, cool.
yeah, a couple of quick notes before we wrap things up on the show. Just a couple of things I want to bring up. I know a lot of people were freaking out when they saw Tyler Glass now wince. I don't know if it was more than a wince. But I know people were freaking out on that game on
He winced.
Saturday.
He shook his hand out a little bit when he was walking off.
And do you have the full update on what once they pulled him out of, because he was taken out of the? I mean, I know his pitch count was in the 90s at that point, and that was going to be his last inning. But do you have the information on terms of
Yeah.
if there
So
is an injury?
not to my knowledge. So yeah, he was at 95 pitches when he came out in this. He pitched 6 innings. He basically just said that it was cramps. He gets them from time to time because the dome was closed. He was sweating more, and he knows he needs to hydrate better, and he didn't do that in this game, and so that impacted him. So he's already aware of it. He says he knows what he needs to do to prevent it in the future.
And another person that I want to give a shout out to and give him a Care Bear stare, and I think he deserves it because he's been doing this all season, is Ryan Yarborough. Ryan Yarborough has a very specific role on this team, and he showed how valuable he is again in Sunday's game. He went 4 innings, and like so far on the year, he gave them 4 innings. He saved the bullpen a little bit. Michael Grove pitched 2 innings. Again, that was a game that, if the Dodgers don't go 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position, they may find a way to steal that game. But so far on the season, Ryan Yarborough's ERA is 3. And I think the stuff that he is doing for this team is very valuable. I know some of my buddies have said, well, Juan, if they're going to use him on bullpen games, why don't they just let him start? Because he used to be a starter with the Royals. And I'm just like, look, the Dodgers are very set. They know they use these people the way they want to use them. They have a plan, and they're sticking to it.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's doing a great job. He's eating innings when we need him to. And I mean, sometimes there's been that. I think there was one game where he just had to eat it when we were losing badly, and they left him in there to kind of eat some of those innings. And he did it. He did his job. He's slow and steady.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because it is a very specific role he's in the bullpen, but I think is having a great season, and I really appreciate everything that he does. The Dodgers, before we end the show, Amy, the Dodgers did make some moves. Do you have the list of those moves that
I
they
have
made?
been in meetings all day. I have not even checked the socials.
All right, so just a quick, just good. Nick Ramirez was optioned, and that's this was over the weekend. I'm sorry to be more clear. Nick Ramirez was optioned, and Nabil Chrismat, who got DFA'd earlier in the season, and we were like, he pitched well. Why did they DFA him? He got called back up, and we saw him pitch on Sunday. Who knows if we're not going to see this happen again, where Chrismat is going to get DFA'd again. But Kyle Hurt, this is the move that I wanted to talk to you about. Kyle Hurt got moved to the 60-day injured list
Mm.
with, I believe, was shoulder inflammation. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh gosh. No, I blissfully unaware.
I,
So
I he was moved to the 60 day, and I believe the injury is shoulder inflammation. But this is what I want to leave you guys with. He is the sixth Dodger pitcher on the 60 day injured list, and I know you bring this up a lot, Amy, and that is we have a lot of pitchers on the injured list.
last count we had 10. I don't know if he was included in that at that point.
This is just on the 60 day. I don't know what the other ones are
Yeah.
if they're 15 or 30.
As
But
of last time we recorded, there were 10 pitchers on the IL just in general. So
So this is just something to keep an eye on as the trade once we get to the trade deadline, because the Dodgers may not make a lot of trades because they may have some reinforcements coming off of the injured list, or it's just something to keep an eye on. It's like, well, this guy's staying on the 60 day, or we're moving more pitchers to the 60 day. Amy, I want to give you the last word before we end this show, because you went into an event during the Azulejo series at Dodger Stadium. So I would love to hear you share that with our listeners, our viewers.
yeah, so Dodger Stadium offered an event to 500 season ticket holders. It was a loteria event and a watch party. So you could go. They had cultural food. So if you wanted, you could grab tacos, whatever Latino food that they had in the stadium. And then they set up tables. And I believe it was 92.3 was there, kind of co-hosting with one of our stadium hosts. And so we played multiple rounds of loteria while the Dodgers were playing the Blue Jays in Toronto. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was nice to have a lot of the cultural music, just people there, everybody excited to be there and play the game. So oh, you are muted. All that wisdom lost.
Yeah, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
did you like watching an away game at Dodger Stadium? Would you do that more often if you had the opportunity to?
Oh, we do it pretty regularly. So whenever they offer these, me and my best friend will go, and we've been to quite a few of them. Sometimes they'll have us in the Gold Glove bar. Sometimes they'll have us in the pavilion, and they'll open it up to even more than just the season ticket holders. So any opportunities that we can go for away games and be at the stadium to watch a game, if I can make my calendar work, we usually go.
Beautiful. So that's going to do it for this episode. Again, reminder, if you have been listening to us on the audio side, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast, write us a review, rate us, help spread the word. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, hit that notification button, give us a thumbs up, leave us comments. We love engaging with you, and make sure you follow us on social media, on X at BB Shangri-La, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch at Baseball Shangri-La. She is Amy Cuevas, and I am Juan Ramirez. Nos despedimos con un beso. We'll see you next time. Amy, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, people.